Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're diving into a really fascinating piece of code called the Ethereum Hub. But I want you to forget about code for a second. Instead, think of this as a toolkit, almost like a digital loom. It's designed for weaving and exploring these incredible hidden worlds of patterns that exist all around us, even inside the simplest strings of numbers.
It's a fantastic question, isn't it? I mean, we're surrounded by numbers every day, but this toolkit kind of proposes that they can hold these complex stories, these hidden rhythms, these intricate designs. So what happens when we stop treating them as just data and start seeing them as a creative material? Okay, so first things first. To get our heads around this, we need to understand the core concept, something the script calls a weave. This is pretty much the fundamental building block for everything else we're going to talk about.
So a weave isn't just a random list of digits. Nope, it's a whole structured object. Sure, it has the number sequence itself, but, and this is the crucial part, it also holds metadata. That's info about how it was made, what its ingredients were, when it was generated. It's like it has its own history, its own digital DNA baked right in.
To make this super clear, just think about a sequence we all know, like the digits of pi. This string of numbers right here is the perfect example of the raw material that can become a weave. It's a pattern we recognize, but it's just one of countless threads we can start pulling on.
All right, so how do we actually make one of these weaves? This is where that digital loom metaphor really comes to life. It's not just a random mashup, it's a very specific combination of ingredients and machinery. The toolkit really has two key ingredients for this. On one side, you've got sources. These are your threads, predefined sequences like pi or a list of prime numbers. And on the other side, you've got engines. These are the algorithms, the moving parts of the loom, like a Fibonacci sequence that provides the underlying pattern. Now, the simplest way to create a weave is called position-dependent interference. It sounds fancy, but it's actually super straightforward. First, you pick your thread, your source. Then you choose your machine, the engine. And then you just combine them, number by number, maybe adding them together at each position. And just like that, you get a brand new sequence. A unique pattern born from the interference of those first two.
But, and this is where it gets really fun, that simple method is just the tip of the iceberg. The toolkit has this whole suite of way more complex ways to generate patterns. You can create sequences where each new number depends only on the one right before it, kind of like a chaos game. Or get this, you can have environmental weaves that actually adapt based on their own recent history. You can even generate patterns in multiple dimensions or use complex imaginary numbers. Each one of these modes creates a totally different kind of digital fabric.
Okay, so we've woven this beautiful, complex string of numbers. Now what? How do we, read it? How do we figure out the story it's telling? Well, for that, we turn to the analyzer, which is a set of tools designed to decode these very patterns. One of the most powerful tools in the box is entropy, and it boils down to a single number that tells you so much. In simple terms, think of it as a surprise meter. If the entropy is low, the pattern is super predictable, kind of boring, right? But if that score is high, whoa, you're looking at something complex, chaotic, and way, way harder to guess.
Then there's this other really cool tool called folding analysis. Picture this. You take your long sequence of numbers, you literally fold it in half, and you add the numbers that are now on top of each other. You get a new, shorter sequence. And you just keep doing that over and over. As the sequence keeps folding, that entropy score might start to drop, which could mean that hidden underneath all that complexity, there's a simpler core pattern trying to get out.
And spectral analysis gives us a totally different angle. It's kind of like listening to the rhythm of the sequence. For a simple, repeating weave like the one on the left, you see those big spikes? That's a clear, steady beat. But for a chaotic weave, like the one on the right, the pattern is more like noise. There's no single rhythm, just a whole spread of frequencies all over the place.
Okay, this is all incredibly cool, but you might be asking yourself, all right, but what's the point? Like, what's the practical application? How do we take these abstract patterns and actually make them useful or shareable? Well, the toolkit comes with these built-in exporters that translate the weaves into really practical formats. You can save it as a standard JSON file for data analysis. You can export it as a nice, clean Markdown file, which is perfect for knowledge bases like Obsidian. Or, and this is very forward-looking, you can format it as JSON-L, which is specifically designed to feed unique data to an AI model for things like retrieval augmented generation. And to make all that even slicker, the system uses agents. Just think of them as little automated helpers that handle the export process for you. So you generate a weave, you tell the Obsidian agent to go, and bam, it automatically creates and saves that file right in your notes vault. No more manual copy pasting. It's the bridge from abstract idea to concrete action. All right, so let's zoom out for a second. We've got this powerful tool that can create, analyze, and export these incredibly complex numerical patterns from super simple ingredients. So why does this matter? What does it really unlock for us?
This, to me, is where it gets really exciting. By framing this whole thing as a creative and analytical engine, it stops being about just numbers and starts being about pure possibility. These patterns are the building blocks for, well, almost anything you can imagine.
I mean, think about it. You could use these weaves as the digital DNA for generative art or music, letting the patterns dictate the visual forms or melodies. You could simulate complex systems, where these environmental weaves model adaptive behaviors. You could create completely novel datasets to train machine learning models. You could even explore new kinds of cryptography. And if you're into gaming, this is an absolute goldmine for procedurally generating textures, landscapes, or entire worlds. And that's really the thought I want to leave you with. The Ethereum Hub gives us the loom, it gives us the thread, but the tapestry is completely ours to design. It's an invitation, really, to look a little closer at the world, to see the hidden numerical structures humming just beneath the surface, and to ask ourselves, what patterns are out there just waiting for us to weave them into existence?